Well, I'm up here on the Alpine Loop up American Fork Canyon in Utah. I came up here to go skiing, checking out an area I want to go camping in, and my ski boot broke on me, so I had to come out early. So I'm just sitting here chilling in my car and doing a time lapse of temp. Let me show you what I'm getting here. So there's Timpanogos up there, and I'm doing a time lapse of that. And then I'm going to sit here and hopefully get some shots of it as the sun goes down. But also, there's some guy flying his drone. There's a herd of elk right up in there. This doesn't zoom in enough. I don't know if you can see them, but there's some elk right up there in those trees. So I'll crop in more on this and show it to you. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm just waiting to photograph the mountain. I'm hoping just gonna sit here in the car and see what kind of photographs I can get. I'm hoping the light goes really good. As you can see, that's really nice. I've always loved this perspective right here, just right here in the parking lot. And this is the time of year to do it. So hopefully we'll see what I get. So I've been sitting here waiting for a couple hours, just relaxing, listening to music, one of my favorite Celtic bands, and just watching the clouds roll, waiting for light. I'm wanting clouds up there, and nothing's coming. There's a bunch of clouds out over this way, but I'm not seeing anything yet that's rolling in here. Kind of irritating. The light's just about getting to where I want it to be, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully some of these clouds push up in here, but they seem to make it just a little ways up in there and then they dissipate. There are some wispy ones, and there's some nice ones over there that look like they might be coming this way. So I'm sitting here watching these elk up on the hillside. I didn't bring a long lens, so I can't photograph them. I normally would carry that, but I wasn't planning on photographing this. And then when I pulled back in here, and I was like, I've wanted a good shot of this. I've tried over the years and never got anything I liked. And I thought, well, I'm going to sit here again and watch and see what happens. So let me show you what this is going to look like. So that's basically what my composition. It's really hard to get the histogram looking right because the white in the sky, once the sun goes down more, it will look a lot better when there's not as much light, hitting there and blowing out the sky. But that's pretty much what I'm looking at. So you can see those clouds up over in that area that I'm waiting to move up across. But I don't know if they're gonna do it. But anyway, yeah, so I'm just gonna sit here and wait for the light. So I'm just sitting here in my car, all bundled up. Every time I get out, I'm just freezing. Just sitting here waiting, watching the light. These clouds keep coming in and just dissipating as they get up over the mountain. Which is really irritating. So, I just this is just part of the game. You just kind of sit. Luckily, this is a spot that I really love, and you can just sit in the parking lot here and watch. I mean, I'm looking right out my window. Look at this. This is the view out my window. There's my tripod. I brought the camera in to keep the battery from dying in the cold. But yeah, so that's the shot I'm looking for. I mean, minus the foreground. But I just want some nice clouds. When I got here this morning, there were some clouds over the mountain, really nice, but the light was, wrong. It was middle of the day. Well, it was like probably 11 o'clock when I got here. So just sitting here watching. You can see, like, there's a nice cloud over there that's pushing slowly this way, but I just sit and watch them, and they get over and they dissipate as they get over to the mountain. As they get over to the mountain, the wind's coming up, blowing across the top, though. They look like they've maybe slowed down. The snow's not blowing off of there any longer. Mount Timpanogos is my favorite mountain. Most of that's because I grew up in Utah County, and for the most part, we moved there when I was in 6th grade, going into 6th grade, and just looking up at that mountain all the time, seeing it out there, and then starting to hike and climb it when I got older, and spending time on it and camping, and it's just a great place. Gets a lot of traffic. I've never seen, over the years, I've never seen the traffic on a weekday. It's Thursday. Never seen the traffic up here like there is today. It's just so many more people of getting out, maybe coming up to the mountains, and it's kind of crazy. But where I want to hike, ski into and camp is actually back around over that way, that peak in the back, just down from to the left of that. There's a couple spots that I want to ski into and camp. I might consider right in front of us, right there in front, that the road, the Timpanogos Road, goes across up there that's Bear Canyon, and there's some spots up in there, good trees to hang in for my hammock, and some nice views of Timp, kind of what you're seeing right here, but closer. But I'm really thinking back around another spot called Salamander Flats. The problem with that is there's a lot of traffic going by there with these guys snowmobiling and that in there. The other option, I was talking to a guy that snowshoed in there. If you go up the Timpanogos Trail, there's a spot up there, the very first big meadow you come to, and he said nobody had been in there, at least since all this snowfall, and it was really hard for him to get in. But that's the other place I'm thinking, is to get into there. I've skied that in the wintertime. Get into there. You're hanging on all quake and aspens, except for if I get down into the little draw, the ravine. There's some good fir trees in there that I could hang on. I'm not fond of quakies because they can tip over easy on you. I love the trees, but hanging a hammock in them is always iffy, because I've seen them tip over in the wind. I've been in the woods and a windstorm came through and sat, and I've watched these trees just tip right over. So it's not the prime place to be wanting to hang a hammock. Preferably an old grove of spruce or fir trees. But I'm just sitting here in the car, watching these clouds come in and do nothing. But I really like this composition. Let me zoom in here and show you. So that right there is pretty close to the composition I'm going to get, and I really like it. I've always liked that. The way that the hills come down in front, in the foreground, giving these lines dropping down into the valley, into that canyon, and then that's a little too far out. Anyway, I really like the foreground, especially when it's covered in snow like this. You got these nice lines directing your eyes in from the sides in, and then of course, the peak. That's the north peak of Temp. The summit you can't see from this point. That other peak that's just to the left of the round peak, that ridge line, the summit is further south, which is further just down from that. So that this big glacial cirque right in there. So you see that those fir trees, that ridge of fir trees, and then behind that you see another ridge with some fir trees in it. There's a big basin back in there. I can't remember what they call it. I want to say Pika Cirque, but I think that I can't remember. That one is really fun to get into. I've bushwhacked in there. You have to go in from the side. It's really pretty much impossible unless you really want to scramble over the rocks to get up the face of that escarpment that is a kind of a cliff face right there. So if you come in from the side, so right where the mountain comes down, there's a ridge there. The road goes around in there, and actually stop. I mean, you can pull out and then you just bushwhack back over, and you come over the little ridge line, and then you can come in. You can't see my finger. You can come in right there and cross through those trees, and then drop in. After you've crossed through those trees, drop into the basin, into that big old cirque. I did that in, I want to say 2011. That winter of 2010, 2011 was really, really strong. It was just a record-breaking snowfall. And I went in there in the fall of 2011, and there was still 6 feet of snow in the shade in that basin right up against the cliff faces from where the avalanches had piled up. And there was still snow and ice in the bottom of that cirque, which is, I'd never seen that before. There was still snow all over the backside of Temp, that you just never see that much snow. And that year it was just phenomenal. I mean, I've said often, if we had 10 snowfalls, 10 years in a row like that, where we had that much snowfall and then a mild summer, just in 10 years you could have a glacier formed back in there. Because you've got, I mean, like I said, there was still 6 feet of snow piled up in right against the cliff faces where the avalanches had come down. Those are zones of accumulations in glaciers, and all that's glacial carved. So, you know, if you have, by the time the next snow starts to fall, you've still got 4 feet of snow sitting there, and then you have another winter just like that, you end up with, you know, another 4 feet of snow when the next, you know, at the beginning of the snow season again. So now you've got 8 feet sitting there. It compacts down, and then, you know, if you had 10 years of that in a row, you'd end up with 30-40 feet of permanent snow sitting there, which is a glacier. When once it gets to that height and mass, it would start to slide, would start to move, and it wouldn't take that long to get glaciers formed back in there. I think there were glaciers. There still is. The Timpanogos Glacier is debatable, but I know people, and it's been well documented, that in the 90s, during that big drought, they saw crevices open up on that thing that were 30 feet deep, and that was just solid ice with rocks in it all the way down, and then the next day the crevice closed. That's a glacier. That's moving. It's covered with talus, with the rock debris, but it's a glacier. People call them rock glaciers sometimes, but that's still a glacier. So I think before the Dust Bowl era in the early 1900s, that was still a full-on active glacier before the Dust Bowl era drought that happened. There's pictures of guys going up in there in the middle of the summertime, and the 15-20 feet of snow pile, ice, looked like glacial ice, black and white, so it's hard to tell for sure, but I think there were. I think that this mountain had quite a few active glaciers on it until after the Dust Bowl era drought. I think the high Uintas did too, and then that just finished them off. But I think they could come back really easy with just 10 solid years of snowfall. So there's my little little talk of glaciers in Timpanogos, but it's an awesome mountain. Got a lot of great areas you can get on into if you want to get off the beaten track. There's a lot of great areas you can get onto and camp and be totally alone. So I don't know what these clouds are going to do. It's now 5:20. My thermometer out here is saying it's 34 degrees. My car thermometer. Let's see what this one says. That one's saying 32. No. Come on. It's saying 23. It keeps flipping around. I don't know what its problem is. I go to flip it this way and then it flips up. But anyway, that thing's saying it's 23, 24 degrees. Getting my hand close to it made it raise a little bit. But before I came out and touched it, it was sitting at 23 degrees. So I don't know why my car thermometer is saying it's 34. But yeah, so it's cold out here. I'm just wishing those clouds would do something. So it looks like the light's starting to get better. Though I don't know if those clouds are going to do anything, but I'm going to get my camera back out and see. The sun might. There's enough light clouds in the sky that it might actually light up when the sun goes down. So we'll see what it does. All right. So I've stepped back up here. We'll see how this goes. The light's looking better, but it's I don't know if anything's great's going to happen. It's 22 degrees out here. You know, it's pretty frigid. It could be a lot colder. I'm glad it's not. Like I said, I'm really sensitive to the cold now. I don't know why, and here I am wanting to go winter camping. It's all a matter of having the right gear at that point, and so. So if I shoot this exposed, just as how it's showing, you know, what my meter is showing as a good exposure, that's what the histogram looks like. It's really, you know, it's blown out to the left because it's almost underexposed in the trees, but then to the right, it's broken up and to the right because of the sky. So I'm gonna, you know, waiting and the mountain, hopefully waiting a little bit longer. It's probably, sun's gonna probably set here in another 20 minutes down there, but there's clouds blocking the light. So I was hoping on the last bit of sunlight hitting the peak, but that's not going to happen because the clouds that are down there pushing in for the next storm that's coming in. Today's Thursday, and there's a big storm rolling in tomorrow and Saturday. So not as big as what we had. The ski resorts just got dumped on. I mean, the last week they got 6 feet of snow. I mean, in 48 hours, some of them got 4 feet. Between like Brighton, where I usually go, or Solitude, they got like a couple feet of snow in 2 days, and had been a couple feet of snow before that. So I mean, in the course of a week, they all got 4 to 6 feet. Alta was showing the ski report this morning that they got another couple feet, and that the 2 days, the 24 hours before that, so in 48 hours, they got almost 4 feet, and Snowbird was showing that they got over 4 feet as of this morning. So there's the ski report for you for the day. I watch it all the time. I mean, I live by the weather, and just always watching to see what's going on so I know when to get out. Surprisingly, this is the first time I've been out photographing since the Saturday after Thanksgiving. I've just been busy doing videos, projects, you know, at home. Doing some videos where I'm building things. I'll put those out here. You know, just making a gear closet. Yeah, I'm not gonna have a gear room. I'm gonna have a gear closet. But So I haven't been out photographing. I've been working on a lot of stuff that I shot during the summer, like in Yellowstone and the Tetons, slowly getting through that. Just, really trying to get stuff done. So just, you go through periods like that. Winter's not the best time to shoot. Depends on what you're photographing. Stuff like this is cool, but winter pictures don't sell as well unless they're warm and inviting. That's why I'm looking for a nice sunset with this, but I don't think it's going to happen. So we'll see. So the snow is blowing off the ridge line, and it's rimmed in pink from the clouds. It's pretty cool looking. I'm really checking the histogram because this is kind of a tricky exposure. It's getting with all that dark in the foreground and then that light, all that white in the sky. So I tend to bracket my shots, but ultimately what I'll do is in Lightroom I'll end up taking the one I like, the exposure I like, and making overs and unders of it, and then to do blending with them. It just works out better, especially when you have movement in clouds or whatever. Sometimes just between shots stuff moves enough that if you're bracketing it just doesn't work. The light's just about gone now. That was it. It went behind the cloud again. It could pop out still, but I think it's over. The light's gone. I don't think it's gonna pop out again. I've been surprised before, and we'll be driving or walking away and have the sun pop out of the cloud again, but I think that was the last hurrah. I think it actually set. It's about that time. So I don't think I got anything great. I mean, the rim light on the snow blowing off the top was cool, but I don't think I got anything really good. Probably nothing worth putting on my website, but I'll edit it and show you what I got.